No, when I found one, I did not wish for a smaller body count. I was glad I had the experiences I had to give me an educated decision on if this was fun or not.
Can I ask you, I don't know if this is like too prodding, but has anyone here ever got an STD?
I think STDs are a thing that happens when you have a lot of sexual partners. Well, actually, no, you don't even have to have a lot of sexual partners.
Freudian slip.
You don't need to have sexual partners. You
can get that shit from a toilet seat?
You get that shit. You can get that shit on the first time having sex.
I have a friend.
You can, but
I know, yeah. I have a friend who
pull the microphone closer to you.
That's exactly the thing. You can have, you can get an STD the very first time you have sex. It doesn't matter how many times you have sex, how many body counts you have.
It's statistically proven.
It doesn't matter, but I'm saying like.
Oh my!
I just want to chime in.
It's probability.
I'm just saying, like,
wait. Let me finish my sentence.
Hold on. Let me just address that really quick, and then I'll have you go on. Sydney, can you technically the first time ever you have sex get an STD?
Yes.
Yes.
Just like the first time you have sex, you can also get pregnant. It's a matter of like safety wise.
Yes, but we're talking about probability, not possibility.
But okay.
So you could, but if you. Okay, who's more likely to get an STD? Someone who sleeps with someone one time or someone who's had sex 10,000 different times?
Obviously depends on safety-wise, but yeah, 10,000 times, yes.
Come on, Sydney.
Yes.
Come on. All right,
yes.
Go ahead, Kazumi.
No, I mean, obviously, it's going to depend on safety. If I had raw sex with you, I am way more likely to get an STD with you, who probably doesn't get tested all the time, versus me, who gets tested every 7 to 10 days, right? Because that's my profession. So I have to get tested frequently. Even
statistically, if you have raw sex with someone one time, you're less likely to get an STD than if you have sex 10,000 times with a condom.
Women are also, it also takes women a longer time to find out if they have an STD, depending on the STD versus men.
I would like to know why you brought up STDs.
Well, what was I'm trying to find the...
that last...
the body count one.
Okay, so like let's say anyways, we know what you're hold on. We know what you're trying to say, right? We know you're trying to say that if I have a high body count, I am more likely to get an STD. Yeah, but I'm also a grown-ass woman, and as I age and I have more sexual experiences, I am simply just going to continually have more sex with people, and it's my right as a person to explore myself sexually. Now, do sometimes shit happens? Yeah, like sometimes people will get pregnant, sometimes the people will get an STD, but as long as we are educated on these topics and the stigma is removed from it, we're able to have better conversations on making sure that these issues aren't permanent issues.
Well,
right?
I guess, okay, so the reason I bring up STDs is because if a girl were to get herpes, for example, I don't suspect she would be so quick to defend promiscuity or defend having a high body count.
That has nothing to do with it, though.
If you're promiscuous, you're more likely to get an STD.
Okay, but just because a girl has herpes doesn't mean that she's gonna tell all the girls in her life to be a nun and not partake in any sexual activity. It's unfortunate that she has herpes, but that in no way should dictate the way other women in her life live theirs.
I think ultimately the better conversation is how often does one get tested.
I mean, if someone got herpes,
it wouldn't
from a
matter
hookup,
if I fucked a bunch of guys if I got tested tomorrow and then I was clean, right? Because literally,
this chair is annoying me so much. I've been no, not you. It's just I should have addressed it at the beginning of the fucking show. I have had
way more insane conversations talking to civilian men who don't do porn, asking when was the last time they got tested, and realizing that most of you men don't get tested. I don't want to a guy with a body count of 10 who has never gotten tested his whole life versus a star who got tested 7 days ago. It's more so a matter of how sexually responsible and educated are you. Like, as a star, we have to get tested every 14 days max.
Full panel?
Full panel.
How long does it take? How long does it take to for those test results to come back and then
a day?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I got tested today and I'm getting my results back tomorrow.
Okay, but can I ask you a question? I mean, most people are not in the sex work industry. And most people engaging in hookup culture and who you don't need to be a sex worker to have a high body count.
No. But even when I was a person that was just a slutty girl in college, I still got tested every time I introduced a new partner in my life, which is something that
really.
Yeah. Do you not?
Safe sex, bro.
You don't do that?
Where did you go to college?
I went to, I'm not going to say that.
Well, was it in California?
Yes, I did.
Was it a state school or a UC?
I don't want to say
That's
it
fine.
on here.
Okay,
it's irrelevant. I was a slut, and I've been a slut, but what mattered was that I was a safe and ethical slut. Are you saying that you don't get tested every time you have a new sexual partner? Because that's nuts.
You mean before?
But
at each instance?
Yes, I've gone on dates with guys before getting tested. And if I wasn't able to get tested with them before, then I would get tested like right after, like the week after. That should be normal protocol.
You get tested after you have sex?
Yes.
Well, that wouldn't preclude you from contracting an STD, but do you think that most people that hook up, in each instance that they do hook up, are getting STD tests beforehand?
Are you saying that you don't get frequently tested?
I get tested, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. In general, when it comes to hookup culture,
the more important part above all hookup culture is the fact that you are sexually educated enough to know that every time you have sex with someone, you are putting yourself at risk.
Yes.
So are you taking the right protocols to make sure that you are not keeping yourself safe and others safe? And the best thing you can do about yourself is to have protected sex and to continually get tested. Now, maybe you're not a sex worker, and maybe most people in hookup culture do not do that, but they really should.
Exactly.
They should, but we have to live in reality.
The reality is that we should.
Most people in college who are
UCSB also has a very, very high STD.
Yeah, UCSB.
I think we're one of the highest.
UCSB, which is, we're here in Santa Barbara,
Woo.
is like one of the number one party schools. From firsthand experience and from hearing from a lot of people, and it's just kind of almost obvious to me, most people who will go out to a club or a bar or party, they will spontaneously hook up with someone, did not get tested beforehand.
But they should.
They should.
But that's not how they should.
But you know what? You know the reason why they don't. The reason they don't is because the reason why they don't is because they are not sexually educated enough. There's a stigma around testing. Yes, there is, because a lot of guys are like, oh, I have to get tested?
But even
why? You don't trust me?
Even you said that you didn't get tested before.
No, I was saying usually I would if it was a plan.
Afterwards.
Now, if I met you at a club, at a bar, first of all, I don't have.
You said you were going through a slut phase, right?
There is no phase.
Your words, not mine.
Clearly, she's saying that she gets tested
really frequently.
Very frequently, so she's being safe.
Okay, but you had girlfriends, right? Were they getting tested frequently?
Yes, dude.
In college?
Yes. We are in California, in a very liberal state with good sexual education. If you are not getting tested, I beg you to.
The vast majority of people are not getting regularly tested.
Then you really should.
Culture.
It's like, okay, majority rule. You should start getting tested. I'm not going to die on this hill. And the thing is, if you do get an STD, luckily, we are in a world in America with great ways to solve it or mitigate the risk. So if you do pop, you should know that it is, and not to say fine, but it is something that is curable, and it is not something that makes you dirty or evil or bad. It is something that you are able to fix, and people shouldn't treat you.
That's not true. Herpes, HPV,
but
HIV.
the things that I'm talking about, like gonorrhea and chlamydia, these are things you should be able to fix, and and even if you did have HIV, you should still be treated with respect, and you are not a dirty, evil, bad person. We should remove the stigma of STDs. You know.
Well, I mean, sure, but it's going to impact your life.
When was the last time you got tested, Brian?
Hold on. It's going to impact your life. It's going to impact your health, and it's going to, honestly, if you have herpes, I assume you agree that you should disclose to a potential partner.
100%.
Okay, you're going to, a lot of people are going to, if you disclose, they're not going to want to pursue anything with you.
And that's fine.
Okay, so dating is hard enough as it is, especially for men. I don't think men should handicap themselves by getting herpes. Same with women. They should not handicap.
So you should probably get tested, dude.
Yeah, just get...
I'm not talking about me.
Yeah, we're talking in general.
To those men, women, whatever, if you don't want to get an STD, then just practice safe sex.
Condoms don't prevent herpes.
Okay, get tested. Require tests from your partner. 2 + 2 = 4. If you don't want an STD, practice sex as safely as possible, and that means going to a local clinic or your primary physician and getting tested and asking your sexual partners to do the same. It is not that hard.
Most people in civilian life, if they do get an STD test, it's not a full panel test. People can be asymptomatic, and that shit can pop down the road. It might not pop right away, but you might be contagious, I guess is the term. But
I feel like the solution isn't not having sex at all or looking for a person who's never had sex. What? Like the solution is to just practice safe sex. If this is something you want to continually explore, you have to just make sure that the people you're playing with are also playing safe games. That's an adult concept. And it's something that we should preach and have a more open conversation about.
But this is one of the reasons why body count matters.
Body count doesn't matter when you're literally...
It quite literally matters when it comes to STDs.
It quite literally doesn't, because...
It quite literally does.
It doesn't matter as much as the fact that you cannot tell me when was the last time you got tested versus the fact that I can.
I got tested in December.
And how many people have you fucked since then?
Actually, 0.
Or okay, cool. But the fact of the matter is,
I'm selective with who I
that's absolutely fine, and you're able to have your own preferences. I get tested frequently, and I would much rather having sex with someone who has a test a week old versus someone like you who hasn't gotten tested since December, because you could easily lie. You know, not to say you are, but I don't fuck
could you review their tests?
Yes, I show it on my phone.
Yeah, but you're okay.
Even before porn,
even before
porn, it's a normal thing to do.
Okay, but promiscuity necessarily means that you're at a higher risk of getting an STD.
Not if you practice it safely. Like, that doesn't equate.
Herpes, you can get herpes without a condom.
Yeah, you can get herpes off a fork. Like, what the What?
Yeah, you could.
What the body count has nothing to do with that.
Do you mean safe sex is just wearing a condom? Because
no,
a condom...
safe sex is not just wearing a condom. It's making sure that your partner is getting tested. Like, what the hell? Like, asking them about their sexual history. And I understand that a lot of men believe, okay, higher body count equals a higher risk for me. But that is not necessarily true, especially if that person has been practicing safe sex.
The CDC.
I told you my body count last time, right? Do you remember what it was?
It was like 300, right?
300 something, because that's all. I've never gotten an STD in my life, ever.
With
all of those bodies,
that's fine.
Nothing, because the amount of people that I've slept with and have chosen to have a relationship sexually with, that doesn't put me at higher risk. I've made sure to be safe with all of my sexual partners, and that is what really matters. It's not the numbers, it's how you practice.
Okay, the more people you have sex with,
I don't think we're going to reach an agreement here, so maybe let's move on.
Well, I'll just say my point, and then we're going to continue. So, it's been proven statistically. The CDC has done studies on this. The more sexual partners you have, the greater likelihood of getting an STD. The more people you sleep with, it's almost self-evident to me. The more partners you have, the more people you sleep with, the greater chance, the greater risk of getting an STD. The same way, if I'm in a log cabin all by myself, and maybe like one person comes and visits me a year, let's compare this to COVID. Your chance of getting COVID, if you only encounter one person, is much lower than if you're going out to nightclubs and parties and meeting 100 people a day. That same thing applies to STDs. The more sexual partners you have, the more opportunity to get an STD. Now, you can practice safe sex and you can mitigate the risk, but the risk is still there the more partners that you have. Well, it's fantastic that you've had as many partners as you've had and you've not caught anything. Congratulations, you've been safe. But it is something to consider.
Well, luckily, Brian, you're not fucking, so it's fine. Just keep your body count as low as possible so you never get anything.